All right, today we are talking about minor scales. And when Mr. Payne talked about major scales in our other music video, he used a marimba, which is laid out almost identical to a piano. It has keys on the bottom, and then on the top it has accidentals, which are just the half steps in between the diatonic keys. And so that's jumping up and down. On a guitar, we don't have that opportunity to jump up and down. We just have one string that goes left to right, up and down, however you're looking at the guitar. And these little metal bars are called frets. And so let me show you how they work and why they're useful. So if I play an open string, this low E, which is this lowest string down here, that's called an E. If I play on the 12th fret, which is indicated by these 12 dots, or these two dots on my guitar, what that is doing is cutting the string directly in half. And so that means that this string is vibrating twice as fast now as it is now. And so that's, if you remember from our sound and hearing, our pitches, that's called an octave. And octaves in music in Western music theory, are divided up into 12 equal parts. On the guitar, these are these frets. And so every fret is a half step. And so if I play this low E string, and then I count to 12, putting my finger up higher or closer to the 12th fret, every time, once I get to the number 12, I'll end at the octave. So here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so that is the octave. And so these are essentially our half steps now. Every fret is a half step. So if I play this one to this fret, half step. If I want to do a whole step, I play two half steps and I just take out that middle one. So one half step, two half steps, skip it. And so guitar, it's easy. You just skip one of these frets and you have a whole step. And so the whole step pattern, or the whole step, half step pattern for major scales was whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And it looks like this on the guitar. A major scale. It's beautiful. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. For minor scales, it uses the same intervals, whole steps and half steps, with the exception of one, which we'll talk about when we get to it. But they just put them in a different order. And so we'll play it first. I want you to hear the natural minor scale. You can hear it, and then we'll break down and look at the pattern of whole steps and half steps. So here is the natural minor scale. Okay. And so let's break it down. We have our open string first. That's the starting note. We have a whole step. We have a half step. So let's just stop there and just hear the difference between the two. So major scale, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step for a minor scale sounds like this. So back and forth real quick. And so just the beginning, the first three notes, we already sound different. And so let's play the rest of it. So whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So you see it's the same intervals, whole steps and half steps. They just are mixed up differently. And if you're even smart enough or paying attention, I guess smart enough's not the right word, but paying attention, you'll notice that it has the same amount of half steps and whole steps. They just are put into a different order. So that's the natural minor scale. Easiest one, very common. So next, we have a melodic minor, which we have the first three notes of the minor scale, and then going up the rest of the scale, we have a major scale. So we have minors to start off, then major the rest of the way up. But on the way back down, we just play that natural minor scale. So let's play it without me talking. As the name indicates, it's used in melodies. It's very versatile because it allows you more opportunities and chances to use different notes to make them interesting. The last minor scale is my personal favorite. It is the harmonic minor, and just listen to it first, and then we'll talk about what is happening. So the harmonic minor scale is very, very similar to the natural minor scale, with one exception, the second to last interval. So in the natural minor, remember we have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. Then it would be a whole step in the natural minor. But what we get is this big jump. We have a step and a half. So a step and a half, we have a whole step, but we add an extra half step. We get here. So the last three notes sound like this. Instead of. And so it just adds that little bit of flair, that extra flavor that we don't often hear in Western music all the time. So let's just hear the melodic, I'm going to play all three scales again. But I'm going to move it down to this A string, which is the second string right here. And what you're going to hear, I'll play them all back to back, is the pattern still works. It doesn't matter what note you start on. It doesn't matter where I started on here. It doesn't matter where you start out on the piano. It just, as long as you follow those patterns of whole steps and half steps, you'll hear what I mean. So here's the order we're going to do: natural minor, melodic minor, and harmonic minor, starting on this A string instead. So it sounds all very cool. The one thing that is consistent across all three of those scales is this first three notes. So basically, if you start off your scale with a whole half step, then you're probably playing this minor scale set. Everything else after that is just flavors, and there are different formulas and specific use cases for it. But that whole half beginning is just so crucial to starting it off. Now, major scales and minor scales are actually related, and we're not going to talk about that necessarily in this video, but just know that for every major scale, there is a minor scale, and for every minor scale, there is a major scale. But we just want to worry about those patterns. So remember, minor scale, you start off with whole half step. You're probably in some sort of minor scale. A natural minor scale, which is the most common and the easiest one to work from, is whole half, whole half, whole. Those are the steps: whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. And then you get the natural minor and the melodic minor, the harmonic minor and the melodic minor by manipulating those whole steps and half steps to make the gaps bigger or further apart. But start whole step, half step, and get yourself a minor scale and have some fun with a little bit more moody feelings in your music.